Hello, good evening and welcome to the studios of your all news channel, GBC24. You're also live on Ghana television. Time now for News Hour. My name is Akpene Avo Ajaja. Clement Sam is also here. He will do the sign language translation of the news. Some bushy areas in Ayi Mensa, a town in the eastern region, caught a fire and burnt to ashes last night. According to an inhabitant of the area, the bush caught fire 3 days ago but quenched by itself. However, last night they saw the place heavily in flames again. Though it is Harmattan season, he believes that human activity caused the fire.
This is the town of Mensa, where most of the inhabitants are petty traders. They sell by the roadside, especially by this toll booth. This toll booth is at the border between the Greater Accra region and the Eastern region, and it is very close to the Peduasi Lodge. This is the side of the town where the fire burnt the bush into ashes. According to Ofori Ochi, who lives very close to where the fire broke out, the fire was very severe, but it did not cause any damage to property, and they do not know the cause of the fire. According to him, the fire service was there, but due to the nature of the road and because the burning area is on top of the hill, they had no means of getting to the top to quench the fire.
3 days ago, and I just started say, "She kakra, but she and about form. If I did cheer, I was at some page view. Into and run, and I was have the no bed in path the anopano. She am of the but luckily, said, baby, or hot more, have air fresh. It then a boy could be from it, baby, I'm from a dice in the Becobiano, a honor, a Janico, beyond me, Ben Janus, and an ordin pa, into Omana. A bedroom ban, you bear 9-10 hot baby, no, and then send one about form.
This water reservoir supplies water to the people of Mensa and other surrounding towns. Though the fire was very close to it, it did not cause any damages. Another inhabitant of the town, Jacob Zoka, said he went round to see if the fire had caused any damage this morning, but they did not see anything aside the fire destroying this cassava farm. Due to the dry winds, the fire burned a wide stretch of land until it went off by itself after almost 2 hours.
Meanwhile, the National Fire Service says it has increased the number of personnel who do regular checks on markets across the country. This is to help reduce the incidence of fires, especially in the markets during this season. The recent spate of fire incidents across the country have been attributed largely to the dryness of the weather and negligence on the part of some individuals. Earlier, we spoke to the head of public affairs at the Ghana Fire Service, Mr. Billy Anaglati.
Looking at the education that we have given with the measures put in place by the chief officer before the Harmattan, we will have expected that fires actually, might not have, started within this period. But of course, if you look at the fires that are, occurring, I believe it is because of the education that we have given to the people that have reduced the impact of these fires. Most of those fires that actually occurred have actually been handled by the public, that it has not resulted to major fires. Apart from the 4 fires that is on record, that have been major fires for now. But we also believing that the public still have a lot to do if really we still have to prevent some of these fires that are still occurring. Then the public need to ensure that the safety measures that have been lined up in our fire safety education given to them must really be strictly adhered to, so that we will be able to prevent these fires. Because within this Harmattan, that everything is so dry, if we are careless, we continue to be reckless in the way we handle sources of fire or heat, then definitely we will be having some of preventable fires that are still, started occurring.
Let's move to the Ashanti region now. Participants at a public forum to review the operations of the National Health Insurance Scheme have called for the appointment of an independent administrator to manage the funds so that the incidence of fraud can be reduced and efficiency enhanced. They have also called for the review of the NHIS law to mandate oil and other mineral companies to contribute to the sustenance of the scheme. The forum, organized by the Technical Review Committee appointed by the President, is the first to be held to collate views on how to make the scheme functional to meet public demands.
The National Health Insurance Scheme was established 11 years ago to provide universal and equitable access to quality health care for all Ghanaians. However, the scheme has faced a number of challenges over the years, delays in the payment of claims to healthcare providers, as well as high and increasing cost of healthcare are some of the setbacks recorded. It is for these reasons that a 7-member technical team has been constituted to make the scheme more efficient and sustainable. The chairman of the 7-member technical committee, Dr. Chris Etim, set a tone for the discussion.
We want to hear from the public, and actually take on board your views and your suggestions for how the review should happen.
The participants were health professionals, health providers and administrators. They raised concerns about daily auditing and payment of claims to health providers. They also suggested a review of the premium.
We should desegregate the National Health Insurance Authority. There should be a fund holder and there should be a service. They are not even competing with the private health insurance companies because they have to pay money to them when they are also assessing the same clientele. And I think it's not fair.
I also want you to look at decentralizing the claims processing, because I think the centralization makes it very cumbersome.
The Paramount Chief of Kumewu, Master Fortuneboa Kodia, advised members of the committee to work effectively.
One more person has died from the outbreak of pneumococcal meningitis in the Bonahafo region, bringing the total death toll to 9 in 2 weeks. 8 people were earlier reported to have died following the outbreak of the disease. According to a Radio Ghana report, 30 people have since been hospitalized in the area after being infected with a deadly disease. According to the Tyne District Health Director, Dr. Michael Roxane, the victims are responding to treatment and the situation is under control and no new cases have been recorded in over 16 hours, except that there's a lot of panic in the area. Pneumococcal meningitis is an infection that causes swelling and irritation of the membranes covering the brain and spinal cord. It's all news are live on your news channel GBC24. The Ministry of Food and Agriculture has launched its Climate Smart Agriculture and Food Security Action Plan. The 2016-2020 national program is to serve as the basis for the development and funding of all climate change, agriculture and food security projects.
Ghana's agriculture and food systems have been recognized as climate dependent and one of the most vulnerable sectors to climate change. In 2010, a concerted effort was made to address climate change with the establishment of a National Climate Change Committee. To improve upon interventions made to tackle climate change, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has launched a Climate Smart Agriculture and Food Security Action Plan. Adaptation of livestock production systems, development and promotion of climate-resilient cropping systems, and improved marketing systems are some of the strategies mapped out to ensure effective implementation of the action plan. The ministry is expecting that implementation of the plan will have an output of enhanced expertise for climate-resilient agriculture at all levels. The Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture in charge of crops, Mr. Alassane Yakubu, said climate-smart agriculture will be focused on the policies, practices and financing of the agriculture development chain.
We therefore see this action plan as an important vehicle for ensuring the development goals of the sector including national food security, improvements in rural livelihoods, and poverty reduction. No efforts will be spared to integrate the implementation of the Climate Smart Agriculture Action Plan into sector programs at all levels.
The set target for the realization of the action plan is for stakeholders involved to develop climate-resilient agriculture and food systems for all agroecological zones.
A director at the Eastern Regional Coordinating Council, Mr. Sapon Boachi-Yadom, has reiterated the need to redirect the country's educational policies towards science and technology. He says this will enable people to make informed choices and contribute significantly towards the nation's development. Mr. Boachi-Yadom was speaking at the opening of the Regional Science and Technology, Mathematics and Innovation Education Camp at Kofodia. The Science and Technology, Mathematics and Innovation Education started as a clinic for selected girls from junior and senior high schools in 1987. The idea is to demystify the study of science and unearth talents among the youth for creative thinking and effective application of concepts learnt in schools. The 2015 STMIE clinic for junior high schools had to be rescheduled to January 2016 due to delays in the disbursement of funds by the various assemblies. 470 pupils from selected junior high schools from 22 municipal and district assemblies took part in the science clinic. The Eastern Regional Coordinator of Science and Mathematics, Madame Margaret Enyuna Maju, lauded successive governments for supporting the STMIE clinics. She said experienced teachers were selected to take the pupils through various topics in biology, physics, chemistry and mathematics. The prefect of the camp, Ms. Sarah Ansuma Asari, appealed to stakeholders in education to support them with teaching and learning materials. A director at the Eastern Regional Coordinating Council, Mr. Sapon Boachi-Yadom, urged organizations and institutions to contribute resources to sustain the science clinic.
It requires our collective effort as a nation to redirect our educational policies towards science and technology. The diversification should aim at providing adequate funding and getting talented people in the envisaged areas to man our tertiary institutions.
Winners of innovative projects exhibited as part of the camp were awarded. The first position went to the Akwetia GCDLA JHS, who designed a potato battery connected in series to power a LED bulb. Kofodia Trinity Presby JHS came second with their automated security light and fence wire using relay timer. The third place went to St. Peter's Anglican JHS in Kofodia. They used sawdust to make beautiful beads. You're watching News Hour live on your own news channel, GBC24 and GTV. We have more stories ahead. Please stay with us. In some business stories this evening, the Bank of Ghana has denied reports that it is keeping deposits of customers of microfinance institutions and money lenders whose licenses have been revoked. On the contrary, the central bank says the deposits of these companies are lodged with the commercial banks in their areas of operation. With reference to DKM, the central bank says an audit of the company's accounts showed it did not have enough funds in its accounts, hence the move to close it down. Edward Nyaku reports.
The last couple of weeks have seen headlines dominated by issues on irregularities found by the central bank in the operation of microfinance companies across the country. So far, 70 of them have had their licenses revoked. The Bank of Ghana says the 70 that have had their licenses revoked were given what it termed approval in principle licenses, but that does not give them the permission to commence business. This implies that if one has done business with any of these 70, then they risk losing their monies because they did not have the right to operate. On the other hand, these companies can bounce back if they meet all the requirements of the regulator. According to the first Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Mr. Millicent Na, so far 468 microfinance companies have been given a green light to operate, 67 money lenders and 11 financial NGOs.
The granting of an approval in principle is not a license to operate. We are just saying to you that preliminarily you have satisfied the requirement in terms of what we need to process your application. And therefore, there are additional things that you need to do or put in place before we can give you the final approval.
The Bank of Ghana says it has scaled up the minimum paid-up capital of microfinance and money lending companies from 500,000 and 300,000 Ghana cedis respectively to 2 million Ghana cedis. The deadline for existing companies in honoring the new paid-up capital is December 2018, while new entrants will have to pay this amount before they will be given approval to commence business. This is to avoid some of the problems that has bedeviled the operations of DKM.
DKM, Diamond Microfinance Limited, had been misreporting to the Bank of Ghana and has not been keeping accurate and reliable records, accounting records of all transactions in its books. Despite several discussions, correspondence and undertakings made by DKM Diamond Microfinance Limited to reduce its interest rates to sustainable market rates, it continued to pay unsustainable interest rates of between 50% to 55% per quarter on its deposits. These high interest rates were used to entice new depositors in order to meet maturing deposit liabilities.
The role of microfinance companies in bringing financial services to the doorsteps of the rural population cannot be overlooked. To this end, the central bank is urging Ghanaians not to assume that every microfinance company is fraudulent, because without them, the wheels of the rural economy will grind to a halt. Edward Nyakun, reporting for GBC24.
Meanwhile, the Bank of Ghana has advised Ghanaians to be cautious about any financial company which promise to give customers returns on their investment twice the Treasury bill rate of 25%. The former head of the department at the Bank of Ghana with oversight responsibility on microfinance and money lending companies, Mr. Raymond Amanfo, said it is very risky to invest in companies that claim they can give returns on investment higher than the prevailing market rates, because such businesses are not sustainable.
Sustainable interest rates, the risk-free interest rate plus a premium. The TB rate is about 25. The question is that 25 or let's say 24 per annum. Somebody is giving you 60% per quarter. That is, you are talking about 240% per annum. What he is saying is that you are exposing yourself to close to about 225% risk. That is it. So when we say sustainable, because the T-bill rate is about 24, you must have a reasonable markup for your risk, let's say about 6%. Or let's say maximum 8%. No. You see, you are looking at the risk. So what we are saying is that if I come to your company and you are giving 38% per annum, I want to find out from you, how do you give the loans? How much loans, at what cost do you give the loans? And what is the value? How much are you able to collect? That will tell me whether your rate is sustainable.
And also in business, the new income tax law that seeks to ensure that Ghanaians who are not resident abroad but earn an income there will now be taxed by the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA. The implementation has received reaction, with GRA defending and business operators asking the authority to take a second look at the law.
In 2014, Ghana's tax revenue amounted to 17.07 billion Ghana cedis. The amount fell short of the target of 17.61 Ghana cedis. Many have said if the GRA widened its tax base, it will not be necessary to overburden the few with increased taxes. The introduction of the Income Tax Act 896 on the 1st of January this year has not gone down well with the majority of Ghanaians. In the new act, companies who enjoy tax holidays will now pay 5% of taxes. Those who win the lottery are now also required to pay 5% of their money, as the money is termed as an investment income. The Deputy Commissioner of Policy and Programs at the Ghana Revenue Authority, Mr. Edward Jambra, said Ghanaians who earn any income outside the country will now be taxed.
Residency in Ghana will make you non-resident. And in Ghana, we did not have a provision to tax such income. So we had a situation where people were earning income and those income were not taxed at all.
The Commissioner of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Mr. George Blankson, said gifts received are now going to be taxed as part of one's income earned and not separately as it was in the old Act.
Gift was being treated separately with a rate of 15%. But gift is also an earning. Now we say that the gift will be treated as an addition to your income and taxed as such. It is simple, but it also has some implication that now gift, depending on your level of income, could be taxed at a rate of 25%.
A tax policy advisor at the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning, Dr. Edward Labisian, said the new act is to simplify the provisions of the act and also to revise and consolidate the law relating to income tax. Mr. Anthony Jajura, the head of the tax policy unit of the GRA, said it was good that the authority passed the law without consultation because it would have been shut down.
Finance ministers and central bank governors in the ECOWAS sub-region are currently meeting in Accra to discuss the status of the macroeconomic convergence, exchange rate development and the roadmap for the implementation of the monetary frameworks under the West African Monetary Agency. Members are expected to come out with policies that will lead to full economic integration of the region and the creation of a credible monetary union.
The West African Monetary Agency, WAMA, is a specialized autonomous body of the ECOWAS Community of West African States, ECOWAS, responsible for the furtherance of monetary cooperation among member states. WAMA has the mandate to ensure the monitoring, coordination and implementation of the ECOWAS Monetary Cooperation Program. It also has the mandate to encourage and promote the application of market-determined exchange rates for intra-regional trade, initiate policies and programs on monetary and economic integration, and ensure the establishment of a single monetary zone in West Africa before 2020. This will ensure the establishment of a common West African Central Bank and the launching of a single currency for the West African Monetary Zone. It will also facilitate trade integration, financial sector integration, payment systems and statistical harmonization. With 4 years to go to the implementation of these objectives, members are in Accra to review how the agency performed in 2015 and also see how they can effectively implement their objectives to meet the 2020 deadline. The Director General of the West African Monetary Agency, WAMA, Professor Mohamed Ben Omar Ndiaye, said the growth rate for the sub-region for 2015 were satisfactory.
The slowdown compared to 2014 may have been cheerful on account of a slump in the prices of key export products, which affected income level and consequently consumption in private investment in some countries of the region.
The Director of Multilateral Surveillance of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Nelson Magbagbuela, charged members to come out with a working document that will help the sub-region achieve its objective of a single monetary zone soon.
The ECOWAS Monetary Cooperation Program remains a priority program of ECOWAS. ECOWAS Commission is committed to its successful implementation that will lead to the launch of a single currency in 2020.
The Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Ghana, Mr. Millicent Nah, appealed to members to work with speed to enable the agency implement its objectives and policies to help ECOWAS achieve its objective of a single currency.
Given the competitive international investment environment, there's growing need for us to leverage on our strengths and remain competitive. And what better way to do that than to integrate to form the large economic bloc that we aspire to.
Members of the West African Monetary Agency's 28th Joint Ordinary Session are expected to come out with a document that will clearly spell out the way forward to implement its projects before the 2020 set targets.
And that's it for business. Coming up shortly is a segment that will tell you the story behind the story. Stick and stay for my journey.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of My Journey. As you know, Ghana just came out of a load management regime with its attendant challenges. But how would you fare though if you live perpetually without electricity and pipe-borne water for decades in your locality? How would you also feel if your community is sandwiched between the sea and the lagoon? Well, this is the story of Fana, a fishing community in the Botiano electoral area. I took a trip to the community to look at their needs and how they make a living for survival. Relax and watch this unfolding story.
It was a typical Harmattan morning when I got to the waterfront. This canoe with school children from Fana were on their way to school at Chokome on the mainland. The canoe is their only mode of transport to and fro. Credit goes to a good Samaritan who has put his canoe at their disposal for free. I had a word with the owner, Kofi Kwedoka.
I have been doing this work for 28 years now. Some students have even completed university. I ferry them on Saturdays and Sundays to church or to do extra classes.
The fishing community is in the Botiano electoral area. The assemblyman of the area, Charles Aite Ama, spoke on behalf of the school children from Fana.
When we just got here, we saw school children coming from Fana down to Chokome to school. That means we lack schools. Even though these children are trying coming to school here, I don't know when they finish JHS, continuing to SHS also becomes a problem.
Eventually, I was ready to set sail to Fana with my team. I share with you some sights and sounds on our journey. These leaves on the surface of the water are traps set to catch fish to augment what the fishermen get from the lagoon. They are deliberately set by the fishermen and ferried by canoe to any location of choice. One question I sought to find out was how the Fana community copes when the wager dam is spilled, because they live close to the lagoon. In addition, I wanted to know how they deal with the incessant tidal waves that occasionally jolt them from their sleep in the wee hours, especially from 3 a.m., I was told. Finally, I made it to the shores of Fana and was welcomed by the chief fisherman of the Gbo Fishing Company. On my arrival, I came across this fishing group who had returned from the morning's fishing expedition. The chief fisherman, Agbeshi Jojegbe, showed me where the shoreline was about 60 years ago when he was a young boy. For the exact location, he pointed to a distance of about 2 nautical miles. He said at the time, there were lots of coconut trees that are all gone today. He explained to me that where we are standing used to be the lagoon, but the sea has pushed it back over time. He spoke about their challenges.
We want a sea defense wall. The sea has indented this portion of the shoreline by comparison to other places.
The men of Fana are mainly fishermen. On my visit, they were busy getting ready for the next expedition. The women who trade in fish wait patiently for the cash to arrive for business to start. Some women also help drag the net in. The fishing community itself sits on the sandy beach. Because of the incessant tidal waves, they had to relocate to higher ground, but still are not out of the woods. They live in thatched homes and have no electricity. Neither do they have pipe-borne water. A resident of the area, Aku Glau, who has lived here for several years, recounts their challenges and how they survive. She showed me her kitchen and said sometimes the tidal waves carry her cooking utensils away even when she is cooking. This heap of sand is her self-made sea defense wall.
I want the government to bring boulders to the shoreline to serve as sea defense.
This beach, like many beaches in the country, is made filthy by plastic bottles and polythene bags. Instead of fish, these are sometimes what the nets bring to the shore. This is the new settlement of the Fana community in the distance. The community relocated here for respite from the tidal waves. On my arrival, many of the inhabitants had gone fishing. I spoke to a woman who said they get clean water when people ferry it to them over the lake in yellow gallons from Tetegu, Aplaku or Botiano. One has to part with 1 cedi for a yellow gallon. Otherwise, they dig holes in the sand at the beach to collect water when it rains. She spoke about their immediate needs.
The tidal waves disturb us. When someone is sick, we have to take the patient in a canoe to Chokome or Botiano. Pregnant women sometimes deliver on the way. You don't have a clinic here.
My lenses captured this backyard cassava farm in this fishing community. After a walk around the community, it was time to set off back to Chokome on my return journey. Having satisfied my curiosity about the way of living of the people of Fana, it was time to write their story. I gathered that when the spillways of the Wager Dam is opened, it affects them greatly. I found out that indeed they do not have pipe-borne water nor electricity. There is also no clinic in the area. Pregnant women are ferried across the lagoon to the mainland, sometimes delivering their babies en route. A sea defense wall along the shoreline will be a dream come true for them to tackle the ferocious tidal waves that have been their bane over the years.
You're welcome back from Fana. I asked residents of Fana whether it wasn't prudent for them to resettle elsewhere altogether. Their answer was simple. The sea gives them their livelihood and their umbilical cords are tied to it. Well, thanks for sailing with me in your mind's eye on my journey. Do join us next week for another interesting edition. Now back to the news desk.
Welcome back. It's still the news live on your news channel GBC24. The partner of an East Enders actress who was murdered alongside her 2 young sons has been arrested in the country. Arthur Simpson Kent was detained by the authorities on Saturday, 2 days after the Ghanaian police became involved in the hunt for him. The bodies of Cian Blake, 43, Zachary, 8, and Amon, 4, were found in the garden of their London home on Tuesday. The family had been reported missing on the 16th of December. The Met Police said it had been made aware of an arrest in Ghana and was working alongside the Ghanaian authorities, but not in a position to discuss further at this time. German Chancellor Angela Merkel has proposed changes to make it easier to deport asylum seekers who commit crimes after the New Year's Eve sex attacks on women. The attacks, which victims say were carried out by men of North African and Arab appearance, have called into question her open-door migrant policy. The police handling of the events has also been sharply criticized. Later, there were clashes at an anti-immigrant protest. Police used water cannon and pepper spray to disperse protesters from the right-wing anti-immigrant Padiga movement as violence fled after a rally which had condemnation of Mrs. Merkel's policies. Reports say bottles and firecrackers were held at police lines. Saturday also saw protests by feminist groups over violence against women in the city and a left-wing anti-Padiga counter demonstration. CCTV footage has emerged of a Russian hospital doctor punching a patient who collapsed and later died. The incident took place in the city of Belgorod, 670 kilometers south of the capital Moscow, on the 29th of December. Russian media reported that the patient had earlier kicked a nurse, after which the doctor punched him in the head. Investigators think it was a case of involuntary manslaughter. One official told Russian television but had launched a criminal case. The story went viral after the CCTV footage came to light. An official from the local investigations committee said they believe there was no malicious intent in the doctor's action. To Egypt, and now where gunmen have killed 2 Egyptian police in the city of Giza. The so-called Islamic State group said it was behind the attack. The incident came hours after 3 foreign tourists were stabbed by suspected IS militants who stormed a hotel in the Red Sea resort of Hurghada on Friday. Egypt is battling an insurgency largely based in the Sinai Peninsula, which became more active after the overthrow of Islamist President Mohamed Morsi. Hundreds of security force members and government personnel have been killed, with attacks creeping closer to the capital, Cairo. The instability has threatened Egypt's important tourism industry. And that's it on the international front. We'll be back shortly with sports. In sports, the Ghana University Sports Association GUSA Games has opened at the University of Education, Winneba. The theme for this year's tournament is Development and Sustaining Sports Talents for Ghana. The universities will be competing in 8 disciplines.
This is the 24th edition of the Biennial Games of the Universities. The president of the Ghana University Sports Association, GUSA, Professor Joseph Kwesioga, said the Games will constitute a platform for promoting gender-based issues as embodied in the guidelines of the university's sports. Each of the universities is encouraged to groom a female in coaching. Government was asked to see to the needs of female coaches.
Ghana needs education persons who can solve practical problems. Ghana needs professionals who will engage in ethical practice. Ghana needs a workforce that values hard work and due process. Ghana needs persons who can provide authentic leadership for personal and national development.
The Vice Chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba, Professor Mauto Avoke, said there are a lot of sports talent in the universities which can be harnessed and marketed to make Ghana proud.
Developing and sustaining talents from our universities would go a long way to impact positively on the nation's effort to project a positive image of sports to the world.
The Minister for Education, Professor Nana Jane Opukwajiman, said it is very important that universities sustain sports on their campuses. She challenged them to make it a matter of policy to include all students from both public and private universities in the Games.
We must grow in a qualitative manner and ensure our endurance. The resources required for this depend largely on the human reserve. We sustain and progress when we pay back and see this as a major source of sustenance.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what footballers to say as to where they're going.
A football tournament to unearth the talents of ladies in the Karachi West district of the Volta region has been held at Usramanai. The tournament was organized between the neighboring communities of Monkra, Ntawusai, Usramanai and Ihiamanchini. The ladies from Monkra won by 9 points, and the trophy was presented to them by the Volta Regional Minister, Madame Helen Adjoa Ntosu. Madame Ntosu, who is also the Member of Parliament for the area, urged the organizers to select the best players in order to form a team that can compete at the national level. Asante Kotoko has set a date with Ediana Stars in the finals of the Galka Top 6 tournament after drawing 1-1 with Ash Gold. Ediana Stars earlier beat Mediama SC by 3-0.
Adriana Stars have reached the finals of the G6 tournament after consigning Mediama SC to a 3-0 defeat in the last game of the competition. Midfielder Yahya Mohamed opened the scoring in the 28th minute. Mediama had a penalty but missed to end the encounter by a 0-0. Back from the break, Daniel Dekwa made it 2 for the Doma Bay side.
Well, the flag stays down. Oh, this could be it. Sums up everything for Adriana Stars, and they have scored a second goal.
Yahya Mohamed made it 3 through a penalty.
And Muntari Tego does push himself in on another trouble. Now he gets a penalty. Muntari Tego, Mohamed, and he does it. 3-0. 2 goals for Yahya Mohamed, and Adriana Stars have embarrassed Mediama.
The second game of the day was between Kotoko and Ash Gold. Striker Kwame Boateng gave Kotoko the lead in the 19th minute after capitalizing on a blunder by Ash Gold defender to slot the ball past Fatah Dauda.
Desmond Agbekono slipped, table slipped, and then he kept his cool.
Ash Gold equalized in the dying embers of the game, but that was not enough to save them. Kotoko will now face Adriana Stars tomorrow.
I don't know what the complaints of the Kotoko players are, but Daniel Lai brings the game to an end.
And that was sports. Coming up shortly is the art and entertainment segment. Do stay. At the beginning of every year, Ghana's National Theatre closes its doors for routine maintenance to prepare for the year ahead. The acting executive director of the National Theatre, Ms. Amy Frimpong, says the theatre will be ready to host all events all year round when the necessary work is done. Ghana's National Theatre sits on a building area of about 11,896 square meters at a vantage location in the capital city, Accra. It has a unique and complex architectural design as well as modern interior and exterior features. The 1,500 main auditorium seating capacity is the country's sole event venue, which was purposely built to discover and develop talents in theatre or performing arts.
Jeremiah 33,000. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Sister Mary, that was the Lord.
The National Theatre houses at least 3 resident companies, including the National Dance Company, the National Symphony Orchestra, and the National Theatre Players, and is mandated to promote the creative arts.
The programs that we partner on or collaborate on are censored. Otherwise, people just come and rent the place. If all you have to do is to get money to maintain the building, then you can't worry about censorship. You just have to allow the people who can pay for the space to come in there. But I think as a national theatre, that's our national identity. That is why I'm saying that we are the crossroads, I would say, between mandate and then generating enough money to maintain the building. From the 14th through the 18th, the building will be on total shutdown, so there won't even be staff there. So we can fumigate the building, and that way, during the year, you don't see all the mice, all the insects that can come in the building.
Ms. Amy Frimpong says that renting rates at the National Theatre may go up due to the increase in utility bills.
We're on a commercial tariff, so our electricity bill tends to be very high. On an average, last year it was 50,000 per month, 50,000 Ghana cedis per month for the theatre. And you all know with the new increases, we're expecting it to go over 100,000. That we have some past due bills that we are adding up as well. So if we take 10,000 from clients, 7,500 is going to ECG, which leaves us 2,500 to cover like the cost of water, the cost of maintenance, buying soap, buying paper, the everyday things. So it's a challenge.
The National Theatre stands for education, development and entertainment, therefore gives out its space to customers who are willing to promote Ghana's values and culture.
Also in the arts and entertainment segment, holiday makers who made it to the Kachi Lake Carnival and Ope Beach Party enjoyed varieties of entertaining events, including music and dance. For them, it was time to enjoy some sights and sounds on the lake and relieve stress to start the new year.
The Kachi Lake Carnival and Ope Beach Party is the third in a series to be organized in the district. During such periods, the VLTC vessel MV Freedom and Justice at Ketekrachi takes only passengers to its standard capacity. Holiday makers boarded the vessel in their numbers to enjoy themselves. However, in the fourth hour of the scheduled 6-hour cruise, all drinks on board the carnival vessel, including water, got finished. But this did not deter the people from having fun. The organizers say the program has come to stay and will be improved upon in the subsequent years to attract more tourists to the area.
I come for every event, but I think this year's event is super.
The whole family is happy. Moving from the town there to Kachi and then going back to Bat has been a very memorable one, of course.
I'm so happy about the attendance. This is very encouraging. This shows that our people are interested in tourism. We have very beautiful tourism sites in Kachi West constituency. So I encourage tourists who are interested in Kachi West to come and invest in tourism in the tourist institutions.
The manageress of the Osu Children's Home, Madame Christiana Ado, is calling on the general public to help their home refurbish its structure so that more orphans can be catered for. She made this appeal when a gospel musician, Bernard Amankwa, presented musical instruments and other items worth 12,000 Ghana cedis to the home.
The buildings are old buildings that needs to be enhanced. We've started painting, we started a few renovations, and we need support. Our ministry, the department is helping us, but I don't think they can do it all alone. So other people, other benevolent people out there can also come to our aid.
Send your power, your mercy, and your glory, oh Lord. I don't want to leave your presence as I came.
A state burial service of Ghana's foremost dance choreographer, dancer, teacher, researcher and consultant, Professor Francis Yate, has been held at the forecourt of the State House in Accra. Professor Yate died in India, where he led a group of dancers to the African-India Summit held there recently. Some of his notable works include the directing and choreographing of the dance and cultural aspect of the opening and closing ceremonies of the 26th African Cup of Nations soccer tournament hosted in Ghana in 2008, and his world-class dance pieces, Bukum, Soma, Okoyo, and Musu Saga of the Slaves, which have been performed across the world.
Professor Francis Niyate, born in 1946, was the second of 10 children of the late Samuel Ni Kojotaki and Madam Comfort Afikwao, all of Amatewe. He had his early education at Kaneshi Methodist Mixed School before proceeding to Ekropon Kwiapim College. He started work as a bailiff in 1965 with the Central Revenue Department of Ghana, now Ghana Revenue Authority, and between 1968 and 1971 obtained a certificate in dance and a diploma at the University of Ghana, then a Master of Arts degree in 1975 at the University of Illinois in the USA. From 1976 to 1993, he became the artistic director and choreographer of the Ghana Dance Ensemble, University of Ghana. He has also lectured at Swarthmore College, Pennsylvania, USA, and was an adjunct professor with the Ashesi University. In 2008, he choreographed and directed the opening and closing ceremonies of AFHF Hockey Africa Cup of Nations held in Accra and the cultural segment of the commissioning of the oil tanker FPSO Kwame Nkrumah in Singapore in 2010. He also wrote books including Dance Symbolism in Africa and Africa in Contemporary Perspective. Tributes from his family, friends, and work colleagues described him as the man who put Ghana on the map through dance.
Professor Niyate will be remembered for his high sense of humor. He always referred himself as Bukum Boy of Accra. He was passionate about his work and contributed genuinely to the various committees to which he was appointed over the years. But Professor Niyate was a disciplinarian to the core and showed tough love in training the large number of dancers and performers from all over the world with whom he worked.
We will never forget your anecdotes about life being like a cup, and when you invest to pour in your cup, it's what you will have to show at the end. We remember all the excitement we would have when you say, trade fair. We did not mind the soap in our hair from half-done showers or the fights over who sat in the front seat. And mind you, most of the times, I was the winner.
The officiating minister urged those gathered to reflect on his life and use their talents to the service of God.
As we celebrate his life, may we take cues. May we reflect like Moses in Psalm 90, for us to be given the wisdom, a heart of wisdom, to know how to order our things, to arrange our life, to order and to plan and to execute what life really stands for.
Professor Yate received several awards, including the ECRAG and ACREG Awards in 2000. He was also awarded on the Millennium Awards Night posthumously for his exploits in dance development. He was survived by 3 wives, 11 children, and a grandchild and siblings. He was 69.
Thank you so much for staying on for the news. We'll be back at 10:30 with another edition of This Week.